Hello, all. This is Devika from MITSDE, and you're listening to the MITSD podcast. More people than ever prefer listening to information bits, pro tips, or educational content on the go. And this podcast series is here to discuss the latest advancements in different industries, share some cool corporate tips, the opportunities, and the strategies that will help you become a pro professional. On this note, I'll hand over the mic to our very own Professor Bonnie Rajesh, the academic content lead for marketing and business communication.
Welcome back, my dear listeners. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of What to Do When You Have a Difficult Boss. I'm your host, Professor Bonnie Rajesh, and I'm thrilled to have you here today with me. Today, we have an exciting topic to discuss, one that many of us can relate to. We'll be exploring how to navigate a challenging situation at work, specifically dealing with a difficult boss, while still loving your job. So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and let's dive right in. We've all been there, haven't we? People stay in jobs with bosses they don't like for a multitude of reasons. Some of the most common reasons I've heard are these: I don't have the energy to look for a new job. I really like my job. I love my colleagues. I love the travel. I need the salary. I can't afford to take a pay cut. There aren't any other jobs that would be better. I don't want to lose the benefits. I have invested so much to start over in this new organization. This job pays too well to leave. I don't have the skills to get a different job. Things might get better. Now, many of the above excuses come down to basic human psychological dynamics. People enduring high stress situations often suffer from emotional exhaustion, robbing them of the energy needed to search for a new situation. Now it's hard to quit, without another opportunity lined up, obviously. And it's hard to line up another opportunity when one feels depleted. Emotional exhaustion also strips people of the ability to envision a more positive experience, and hopelessness ensues. Loss aversion is another psychological process that makes it hard to give up something you have. Now, we tend to strive to keep what we've worked hard to obtain. In the workplace, this could be salary, status, stability, seniority, social connections, and all the other benefits we've accumulated over the years. Additionally, research tells us that people stay in toxic situations when they engage in high meaning work. In other words, when people are emotionally attached and engage in their jobs, they stay, even when they work for bosses who treat them poorly. Although staying put may seem more secure than leaving, it actually comes with many risks. A study of about 3,122 Swedish male employees found that those who work for toxic bosses were 60% more likely to suffer a heart attack, a stroke, or other life threatening cardiac conditions. Now, other studies in the Indian workplaces show that people with toxic bosses are more susceptible to chronic stress, depression, and anxiety, all of which increase the risk of a lowered immune system. It could be cold, it could be a stroke, and even heart attack. Now, how do you manage? Bad bosses should be taken seriously. If quitting is not an immediate option, there are some practical reasons that you could do to mitigate the potential damage of working for a toxic boss. While specific strategies depend on the kind of bosses you might have, example, they could be bullies, they could be narcissists, there are some general approaches that can help you to manage the situation. One, forget giving feedback. Just forget about it. Instead, make request. Now, how? It's usually a good idea to try to talk to your boss and see what's going on. But chances are a difficult boss may not be open to hearing feedback about his or her failings. So try making specific requests to get what you need. Be specific about the resources and support you need to do your job. Explain your rationale and articulate how this will benefit them and the organization. Think about the timing and try to have these conversations when your boss is calm and in an upbeat mood. Make sure that you prepare practice and anticipate the reactions. That is very, very important. The second hack would be engaging with your support network. A very, very strong support network is critical, especially when you're dealing with an emotionally challenging situation. Surround yourself with friends, colleagues, people who support and encourage you. Have outlets outside work for socializing and reducing stress. Talk to maybe, a good friend, perhaps your mom, maybe your sister or your brother, or any other trained professional. That vent is very, very important if you're not getting that vent at work. The next suggestion would be get plenty of sleep and exercise. Taking care of your physical and mental well being is essential. If feasible, take a break from work. Find activities outside of work that bring you joy and satisfaction. Consider mindfulness and relaxation practices, maybe like yoga or even meditation. A good brisk walk in the morning, perhaps swimming. Practice positive self talk by reminding yourself that you are not the problem. Remember, you cannot control others. Hence, you cannot control how your boss behaves. And you are not responsible, perhaps, for his reaction. You might not be responsible for how he behaves, but you can control yourself. You can control how you respond to their behavior. The next I would like to suggest is try to explore opportunities within your organization. Now, there might be ways to escape your toxic boss without having to leave your company because you've invested a lot of time into this profile of yours. So, you look into other positions in the company that interest you. Meet with colleagues and managers in other departments. Think about where your skills might translate and make a case for your transition. Another option would be considering consulting with HR. Research your HR department's reputation in supporting employee complaints before you approach. Let them know about the issues you're having with your boss and what you have done to try to rectify the situation. They may have already helped others in the exact same situation and perhaps could offer solutions you hadn't even thought of. Then the next most important thing is you should know when to go. Of course, be ready to accept that quitting could be the best solution. There are some unequivocal signs that it's time to move on to the next job. If you dread going to work every day, if you feel physically or mentally unsafe at work, if you spend more time thinking about your boss than your work, if stress from work permeates the rest of your life, if your self esteem has plummeted, it's time to go. Period. You must give yourself permission to make a career change, to let go of hope that things will get better, and to overcome the fear of quitting. Once you make the decision to quit, it's important to do it as a professionally and gracefully as possible. While it might be tempting to go out in a blaze of anger and curse words, this rarely works out well in the long run. Don't burn the bridges. How do you do this? You line up your next move. There is no magic bullet here. You just need to start a job search. Give a proper notice. The standard for most industries is 2 weeks. Giving more time is always an option, but try not to give less if you can help it. Write a proper resignation letter and tell your supervisor in person that you are leaving. Don't forget, letters of resignation often end up in employee files and might be used if your former boss is ever called for a reference. So make sure your letter is always professional and impersonal. Create a transition timeline. Clearly articulate your plans for transition. Be clear about what you are going to do before you leave and stick to it. If you promise to finish the projects, then finish them. Don't bite off more than you can chew, but don't leave things on the plate that you promised to take care of. Leave your boss and your team fully updated on the status of all your projects. Be prepared to go early. If your boss is truly toxic, he or she could dismiss you the minute you give the notice. Make sure you have your personal belongings, contact information, important papers, commendations, if any, organized before you give the notice. Be sure to return all company property promptly and properly. Get proper documentation stating that you have returned it. The last thing you want is someone claiming you've stolen anything. Last but not the least, do not badmouth. Resist that urge to badmouth your boss during potential job interviews, or even after you've landed on a new job. Hiring managers don't know you, hence, they do not know your boss. All they will see is a complaining employee. Remember, it's okay to quit. Your personal and professional future may depend on it. Well, my dear listeners, I hope these strategies will help you navigate the complex dynamics of working with a difficult boss while still enjoying the work you do. Remember, it's all about finding the right balance and taking control of your own happiness. Remember, you are not responsible for somebody's happiness and you are not responsible for somebody's reaction. As we come to the end of this episode, I want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of our podcast journey at MIT SDE. Your support and engagement mean the world to us. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future episode, please feel free to reach out to us. We love hearing from you. Until next time, take care, stay positive, and keep thriving on your personal and professional life. This is Professor Bonnie Rajesh signing off. Thank you so much for listening.